What's some popular self-care/self-love advice that is actually really toxic? That you should expect unconditional support, love and acceptance from friends or romantic partners. Popular idea. But if people really care, they will tell you when you are harming yourself or others rather than just keep the vibe chill. Unconditional support does not mean they go along with whatever you want. It means they care about you and support you, even when you make bad decisions. And sometimes, supporting you means telling you how it is. Ignore the haters. Sometimes the haters are people who love you and want to warn you of potential pitfalls, such as MLMs, cults, abusive relationships, etc. Update: a few people are saying that the definition of haters is, essentially, only people who are hating for the wrong reasons. I agree, that's what this advice intends to communicate. Basically, don't pay any attention to people who project consistent irrational negativity your way. My concern is that this phrase is so easily misapplied as a self-love mantra, which ultimately serves to keep some vulnerable people from listening to the valid and well-intentioned concerns of loved ones. It can be used by a manipulative person to keep victims, vulnerable followers, in line. I like haters gonna hate better because it implies there is a pattern, like, oh, that person is always hating, so of course they're hating now. But if your sister is usually supportive, and definitely not a hater by nature, and is suddenly very concerned that your relationship is abusive ... Listen up. I think it comes down to the idea that you have, arguably, more to lose by disregarding a well-intentioned friend than by paying attention to an ill-intentioned one. I appreciated the feedback and did not find any of you to be haters. Smile. I have a friend who is very sucked into the girl boss subculture that has her working all hours on a business that makes no money, then doing self-care in the form of spending the little money she makes on manicures or expensive beauty products that other people have told her are self-care. Self-care and self-love is sometimes admitting that you need to stop her using something that isn't working and is making you miserable, even if it's what you thought you wanted, and even if everyone is telling you to keep going and not to give up. Edit: she's not in an MLM, although they're awful and I wish they were banned. She's in the fashion industry making amazing handmade one-offs. Extremely talented. She enjoyed it when it was a hobby or something she did on the side, and enjoys when she gets to work on community projects. But when she has commissions, she puts them off until the last minute due to depression, then tries to fit into the hustle culture by staying up all night finishing things. It's a horrible cycle to be in. I also wanted to clarify that I don't think that it's a bad thing to treat yourself as part of self-care, but she largely buys into this as part of that kind of Instagram culture, putting photos of her nails up as #selfcare etc. I love her, and as a therapist it's hard to see her go through this without any help. She's been largely failed by our mental health care system, who've lied to her about her missing appointments they never told her about, etc. Cut off anyone that doesn't bring you peace. Obviously this applies to people who are constantly, deliberately making you miserable, but the stressful situation or argument with a friend that you care about doesn't count if you haven't attempted to work it out with them. I was cut off by a very close friend for trying to talk to her about how I was being hurt in our relationship, and she decided she didn't want to feel guilt or spend any emotional energy on working on the relationship, so she just blocked me, saying she was putting up healthy boundaries. Very sad to hear she has also done this with other friends, all since she started dating, living with her current self. If all the closest people in your life are saying something's not right, something's probably not right. Stop texting people first to see who your friends are. What if they're doing the same thing and you just ended a friendship due to a misunderstanding? Edit: okay, this blew up more than I thought. There's a lot of people saying, well, what about in this scenario? What about this? What about this? And thing is, in some scenarios this is good advice, but in a lot of cases this is terrible advice. Like, yes, if you're the only one doing work in the friendship, then maybe you should reevaluate it. But it also could be someone is going through something that you don't know about and they really don't want to talk to anyone at that time. So what I was really trying to say is that this isn't a solution for everyone. It's really just a solution for some. Any form of testing your relationships like that is basically heading towards abuse territory. Imagine if a guy decided to stop responding to his girlfriend to see if she loves him enough. Yeah, a number. Don't let yourself act like the victim. Had someone tell me not to let my wife feel like a victim after being sexually assaulted. I hear people say this a lot because they think it helps real victims feel less like one, but people need to process things. They can't just run through the healing process by pretending it didn't happen. Edit. I'm surprised how much this comment kicked off. I just wanted to add a few details since it seemed like people had a few questions. The person who told me that was my dad, which as others said it is probably someone close to you that says this. My wife was my girlfriend at the time. A few extra shitty details about the situation. Despite video and eyewitness accounts, police did nothing about the guy who actually did it because he knew the campus police well. We originally went to City PD and they said they couldn't do anything because it wasn't their jurisdiction. Campus PD said they would look into, got back to us later and said they didn't find any evidence. HR basically asked if she would still be willing to work with him, the boss. So they basically gave her the choice to work with him or quit. She ended up quitting. He also did something similar with another young employee and also kissed another employee while at the store. There's no wrong way to parent. As a child of abuse, there are absolutely wrong ways to parent. Frankly, I'm of the opinion that the majority of chronic mental illnesses are the result of shitty parenting practices because shitty parenting can fuck up every body system. Every parent should consult a child psych professional just like they consult a pediatrician about their child's well-being. They're professionals who have the education to read research studies regarding child development and can direct a parent on how to raise a healthy child. Edit. I came back to a lot of notifications from this and was really braced for it today to become a bad day, but you all are so genuinely kind. It's nice to feel heard on this kind of thing when you have such a personal experience with it. Thank you for making today a little more wholesome, friends. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Pretty sure it was Wayne Dyer who published this nonsense in the 80s. Having at least some guilt is a good sign that you're not a psychopath. The way my doc phrased it makes total sense to me. Is this emotion useful? In the case of guilt, ask yourself if it's useful to you. Does it help you learn something, change a bad behavior, prevent you from hurting someone in the future? Then it's useful. If you're feeling guilty over something and you analyze it, and come to the realization that it's not useful, likely because you legitimately shouldn't feel guilty about it, then allow yourself to let go of the guilt. It works well with almost any negative emotion I may be struggling with. Edit. I should add that I am by no means a master at this. It certainly can be a struggle, but it does help quite often. Any kind of advice that tells you to test friendships by withholding contact to see if they'll notice or straight up tells you to drop friends that don't reach out to you regularly. This is a very selfish and passive-aggressive thing to do. If you miss your friend, then call them up. Don't play cat and mouse games. Maybe they have shit going on in their lives. The world does not revolve around you. I don't mind being the one to reach out when I'm clearly the only one reaching out. I do wonder how much the person actually values me, not in a fuck you and all the other shit you got going on way, but more like, if you aren't reaching out to me, I just sort of wonder why we're friends. I also similarly hate the I don't want to come, but I want to be invited mindset that's become really prevalent lately. I have a handful of friends who are like this, and I totally understand that sometimes you're having a bad mental health or pain management day. But when I see you at every single event that X person hosts, but you never show up to things that I host, eventually, I will assume you don't have interest in forging a one-on-one friendship with me personally and will stop inviting you. Why is it on me to constantly deal with rejection? The how not to give a fuck nonsense. I agree. Don't give a fuck what people think if you enjoy a certain type of music, but do give a fuck about how your actions affect other people. Unfortunately, It seems that many people just take it to mean don't care that you might hurt other people. In order to self-care and self-love, it is important to consider what consequences your actions have on the world around you. There is a whole industry built around what I call narcissism as self-help. It essentially boils down to everyone else is wrong, you're always right. The only problem you need to fix is that you care too much about what other people think. There is definitely something to be said for people who are far too self-conscious, but social interaction is a core concept for being a healthy, happy human. You aren't going to find happiness by turning into a sociopath. The whole blood is thicker than water advice where you should feel obligated to be loyal to your family no matter what. If they are toxic or abusive, then there is no reason for you to keep that around in your life, especially if it is detrimental to your own well-being/mental health. The number of people who try to shame me for not speaking to my biological mother is astounding. Even after I tell them she literally nearly killed my little sister with neglect, she abused me, starved me, gave me mental scars that I still cannot heal. She lies, cheats, steals, and is generally an all-around bad person whose own parents cannot stand her. I still get but she's your mother. Yeah, well, I'm her daughter and that doesn't seem to matter to her much. Just be yourself. Myself is a guy who likes to work minimum wage, part-time jobs that require no mental input, and then spend the rest of his time playing video games and eating junk food. He's overweight, underpaid, and has no interaction with his friends or family. I don't want to be myself. I want to be a better version of myself. Edit. After reading some of these replies, I feel like I should add a bit more detail. I realized that if I just stayed myself, stayed happy as I was, my life was going to end up going nowhere. That was about 11 years ago. I'm in a much better position in life, currently. I still have to fight against that instinct, but it's easier now that I have momentum. Positive vibes only. You just need to stay positive. People use it because they think it's uplifting, but it's actually quite dismissive. Often people say it when people voice sadness, frustration, emotional fatigue, anger, basically any other emotion but happiness. A positive attitude can get you a long way, but so can acknowledging and letting yourself, others feel emotions. Edit. Okay, wow, this blew up in a way I'd never have imagined. Firstly, thank you for the rewards. This is bizarre. Secondly, to all those having a hard time, and/or have people in their lives dismissing them with this stuff, I'm sorry that you are going through it. I hope and wish there will be better times around the corner for you soon. Third, my original edit is now in a reply to this post because on review it seemed too long. If you're interested, it's there somewhere. If not, cool. When people say no one is too busy to talk to someone they care about, this is so toxic to expect people to talk to you every day. Yes, sometimes people have other stuff going on in their lives. It doesn't mean they don't care. Maybe I grew up in an older culture, but whenever I run into someone that I haven't seen in forever, it's "Hey, man, how you doing?" "No, I'm good, man." "Tell me, what are you up to these days? You still doing ABC? Huh, nice." "Yeah, I'm currently doing Ziz. It's going alright," and we go from there. Like, I do not get why people expect to be part of a conversation every day. Like, are they that insecure they need affirmation that you still care about them since the last time you spoke yesterday? Happiness is a choice. Damn, I must be choosing depression then, I guess. Edit. I'm not saying it's flat out wrong. This is actually good advice. The problem is that it implies a lot more. It being phrased better would solve a lot of the issues I have with it, especially in regards to depression and other illness. Snarky put it into better words than I could. Your choices directly affect your happiness would be better. Not as catchy but much better without the same implication. People who are saying that it's somewhat true. That's what I'm saying. People trying to actually me are essentially repeating what I said, lol. The really irritating thing about this is that they've oversimplified legitimately good advice into bad advice. Your choices directly affect your happiness would be better. If people can only get their head around a damn catchphrase. Eating well, Exercising, and balancing your work/personal/life responsibilities will for sure help, but the quote you mentioned implies that mind over matter means you can bypass all that stuff, or that nobody is chronically and severely depressed. All you need is the proper mindset, especially for wellness coaches. First of all, screw to the ever-loving gates of hell whoever thinks this is all it takes. I am 100% aware that mindset is probably the most important variant to being happy and successful, but some days suck, and to minimize every problem to this completely dehumanizing. Sometimes your dog dies a week after you lost your job, and you have to realize that any amount of mindset wouldn't help you be a better you in 7 days, or whatever these mindset coaches are saying. Don't get me wrong, I am all here for personal development. I actually work in marketing, and there is so much of that in the entrepreneur world. In general, they help way more than they harm, but that doesn't excuse the heartless way they deal with the people for who their pre-planned coaching plan doesn't work. Since they are not trained mental health care professionals, they can't help the person actually find the right kind of help, and it can lead to this person losing control and spiraling into psychosis. These coaches don't care. Mindset and money, that's all. Anyways, if you are one of those people who sell, not just think but sell the whole philosophy, that all you need is the proper mindset and you can get anything, burn in hell. People who die of suicide because of your cult-like techniques are blood on your hands. Rant over. Edit. I'll thank you for the award, my first. Anything is possible if you work hard enough. No, not everything is possible. You're not going to be the new Nelson Mandela, fucking president of the USA, or the new pop artist. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's true. For every person who says all my dreams came true because I worked hard and believed in myself, there are dozens more who can say I worked my butt off but it just didn't happen. I do believe that the chances of bettering your life through hard work are high enough to make it absolutely worth it, but there is a massive gap between better is highly likely and anything is possible. When the advice to deal with an anxiety problem is pretty much, oh, just remove the things that cause anxiety from your life. I'm sorry, but this just sometimes isn't an option for people, and I think most people understand this to be the first step to trying to deal with anxiety before it gets more severe. If somebody's anxiety is getting to the point where somebody else is getting concerned for them, then likely there's a larger underlying issue, like them being stuck in a bad living situation or in a job that's difficult to leave or something like that, and just repeating the most asinine kindergarten level advice that you should avoid things that are causing you too much stress doesn't benefit everyone. Plus, there's also some situations or events that are just going to be stressful whether you like it or not, and you just kind of have to put up with it even if you yourself have some sort of stress or anxiety disorder. These kind of situations, the focus should be more on how to have better handle that stress, how to better recognize that emotion, and finding positive methods of distraction and subversion to help keep them from hyperfixating on it. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional, and you'll find better resources online about dealing with stress stuff, but my main point here is that the advice of just removing the stressor from your life is not only unhelpful but frankly a bit insulting to the intelligence of a person receiving the advice. For me, it's the physical self-esteem and appearance issues, and the whole don't ever think a negative thought about your appearance or want to change an aspect about yourself. I'm a natural ginger, pale, red-cheeked, freckled, the whole deal. Another thing that comes with that is I have completely invisible eyelashes and eyebrows. If I don't have makeup on, it genuinely looks like I have shaved my eyebrows and eyelashes off. For years I hated this, and was just waiting for the day I learn how to fix it. Eventually, I got my makeup done, and it was the most beautiful I've ever felt. All it took was some mascara and eyebrow pencil. I realized then and there that I was never going to go back to having my natural face. I started wearing the same 3 makeup products every single day: mascara, eyebrow pencil, and eyeliner. Then I became upset that I couldn't go without makeup without feeling naked. So I started dyeing my eyebrows and eyelashes, and it was life-changing. I always feel guilty about only feeling confident after I change myself, but frankly, that's nobody's business but my own. You shouldn't teach people that they have to love their natural appearance no matter what. You should teach them that they deserve respect no matter what their appearance is. I don't like my natural facial hair color, but if someone were to insult it or belittle me because of it, I know that I don't deserve that, and my face is perfectly acceptable the way it is, even if it doesn't fit with my personal preferences.